I'm sorry, not really, but what the hell is the matter with everyone? Is violence and harassment towards certain groups of people now tolerated as long as the ends justify the means? Just another example of the radical left, and I'm looking at you, Maxine Waters, exposing what they've always been: anti-American and anti-humanity. Hey everybody, thanks for coming along for the ride once again. For MRC-TV, I'm Nick Kingadas. Maxine Waters, who I refuse to acknowledge as a member of Congress, basically declared war on half of the country when she said that people and business owners should deny anyone associated with the Trump administration basic human decency. Waters thinks that if you're on the opposing side from her, you shouldn't be free to live your lives without being persecuted and vilified. I'm just gonna say it right now. Maxine Waters is a bad person. And I'm going to repeat that for those in the cheap seats. Maxine Waters is a bad person. There's a reason she's been named one of the most corrupt members of Congress 5 times. And that distinction came from an organization funded by George Soros, so you know she's as crooked as they come. Since Waters spewed her hate, we've seen members of both the Trump administration and the GOP confronted and sometimes prevented from living the part of their lives that don't involve politics. These are real people. People like Waters and the bought and paid for media have pushed a narrative that sounds a lot like Germany circa 1933. But what does the left do when their message seems a little too extreme, even for some Democrats? They use false accusations of racism, sexism, and any other ism that they can use to disparage those that disagree with their radical rhetoric.
My point is very simple. I demand that people stop requiring Congresswoman Waters to behave in one way while everybody else can do something else. Nancy Pelosi says, let's make America beautiful again. Whose America is she talking about? Steve at the beginning of this program said, this isn't America, this isn't what America are you talking about? Childish Gambino artfully told you what America is and what it looks like. Let's deal with the distinctions that we all see, because some of us see a very different America. The fact that Chuck Schumer called what a black woman said un-American is problematic, and this is the reason why Democrats have a hard time reuniting
just because of the color of her skin?
It has everything to do with the fact that this black woman is intimidating to some people who can't handle the truth. There's time and time again, we can look at Donald Trump's tweets. He's intimidated by Jamel Hill. He's intimidated by Frederica Wilson. He's intimidated by Maxine Waters. Overwhelmingly and disproportionately so, it has everything to do with race. And that is why I find Chuck Schumer's comments deplorable and offensive. It's un-American. Why?
Okay.
It's un-American. Why? Because what America are you talking about? This is America of lynch mobs too. Like, let's be very clear.
Off. People like Waters and Rye seriously need to examine the hate in their hearts. The left actually prefers to do things this way because even if they lose the argument, their retaliatory rebuttals chip away little by little at what already is in place. Eventually, they get their way in some form or another, and everyone just allows it to happen while barely noticing the difference. Don't think this problem is congressionally confined to Waters, though. Absolute wastes of taxpayer money. There have been members of the far left portion of Congress who have called for increased activism and pushback against anything right of center. And am I one of the few who thinks the left just wants to watch America burn? Who will portray Nero playing his fiddle as they watch the country blaze out of control? The left has done so much damage to this country since its inception, from pretty much unanimously voting against anything that helped black people in this country, to the election of the first socialist president, Woodrow Wilson, in 1912, to the New Deal, to the entitlement programs that keep poor people down instead of raising them up, to enacting policies that would lead to the housing crisis, to Obamacare. You get the idea. Republicans have bad ideas too, like taking the US off the gold standard. But these days, the difference between the right and the left is that the right doesn't typically brag about how compassionate they are before and after doing anything, while the left brags about their level of tolerance before, during, and after they do things that aren't really tolerant in the first place. We need to examine the language that we've all agreed to use. The left constantly talks about how tolerant they are, but they don't mean the way they've put it across. The left's public definition of tolerance is how compassionate they are towards people. But the left's true definition of tolerance is the level of pushback from the right they're willing to tolerate. You see the difference? The left is playing a very dangerous game, except it's not a game. How long will it be until all Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, and straight-up Americans are persecuted and banned from everyday activities that we currently take for granted? I hear people on both sides gearing up as if they're ready for civil war. Little do all of these people remember that 620,000 people died during the first Civil War, and that was with weapons that were way more primitive than they are now. It's time to take a step back, examine the gravity of the words we're saying, and exhale. Everybody needs to relax. Somewhere along the way, we've forgotten how good we have it in this country. We have more freedoms than any other populace in the entire civilized world. But we're a nation of laws. If you break the law, you don't deserve special exemptions because you reside in a certain demographic. You don't deserve special exemptions because of your plight. And that might sound cold, but if we constantly hand out these special exemptions, then why have laws at all? In the end, people on both sides need to slow their proverbial roll. If not, it might lead us down a dangerous path that the country we've all loved for our entire lives could be damaged beyond the point of no return. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like or a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. For MRC TV, I'm Nick Kingadas.